Going to be a story time of how Mustard ended my 5-year relationship and engagement. Yes, I'm talking about Mustard, like the condiment Mustard, ended my relationship. Let's set the scene. At this particular point in my relationship, my child's father and I hadn't been doing the best. Okay, backstory. When I got pregnant, we signed a lease that ended when my daughter was about 4 months. We moved back into his mom's house for 6 months. And when my daughter was 10 months old, we moved out of his mom's house and back into a new apartment. So when we were at his mom's house, things got really sticky because we kind of felt like we weren't able to be ourselves, express our connection. I wasn't able to cook the way I wanted to cook. There was just things that we couldn't do in our relationship that I just felt if we had our own place again, they wouldn't be a problem. And he kind of agreed. And so when we got this new place, the expectation was just that. It was that I would start cooking, he would start showing up and being present more often. We would just be able to go back to being who we were in our old apartment. Wrong. Obviously, when we were at his mom's house, we didn't have to pay rent. When we got into this new apartment, it was a 2-bedroom. It was a little bit expensive. He's working a lot. He's a barber, so he was trying his best to make enough money to where we were able to move into this apartment. At the time, I was not working. It was summertime. I was a substitute teacher, and I didn't have a job. Every day I was in the apartment with my daughter. When he would come home, he would either go straight to a little game room that we had or straight to the balcony. And yes, he would greet me. He would say hey to the baby, but that was like.
All right, so let's rewind. So she said the second time. So based on her timeline, I guess she was independent, living with her I guess boyfriend at the time. Something happened financially. They ended up moving with the mom, not paying rent. And I get that, living with either family, friends, just having roommates, it's cohabitating with people could be difficult, especially if you don't have the same habits, same principles or morals. So that could be difficult and put stress on the relationship, coming from having your own place, having to move in, and then now they're back out. He's paying, I guess, assuming she's not working, so he's taking care of most of the overhead. So let's see where this is headed.
The end of the interaction. Every day for a week, I was doing things by myself. I filled up the apartment with groceries by myself and a 10-month-old. I put the TV stand together by myself. I unpacked the closet by myself. I felt like things that we could have been doing together or as a family, I was doing alone. Now looking back on it, maybe it was my responsibility to just do those things by myself. At the end of
All right. See, one of the main things is if you have intentions of something being done, then you need to communicate that. A lot of times, it's primarily women who think you're supposed to be a mind reader and don't have to say it. But no, the key thing of communication in a relationship, if you don't know and you're not setting a standard, then how do you expect that person to rise to the occasion? You basically setting them up for failure because you got these ideologies or these thoughts in your head of how things should be without actually speaking up or conveying how you feel.
the day, everything happens for a reason. One day when he got home from work, I ended up mentioning like just how I felt about everything that we had going on. I just felt like he wasn't really being present in the house. I was doing a lot of things on my own. And he also felt a type of way. He felt like when he comes home from work, there should be food on the table. And there wasn't food on the table. That first week, I was just surviving. It felt like I wasn't really cooking. We either went to.
So she mentioned being at the mom's house that she wasn't able to cook how she wants. So I'm not sure what she means by survival mode. If you've actually gotten, usually it's excitement. If you're coming from being in somebody else's living space to having your own personal space, it's usually excitement. So not sure where the chaos came from, but moving is chaotic. But ultimately, the experience of having your own peace, your own tranquility, your own home is definitely something that's, I think, a positive for the most part. So I guess we'll see. I don't know what she was survival mode for.
His mom's house for food every day or we went out. He was telling me like I can't afford things like that. So he's stressing financially. I'm stressing emotionally. At the end of the night, that night, after having that brawl conversation, I ended up in a deep prayer conversation with God. The end of my prayer to him, and I vividly remember this, was that if I am to stay in this relationship, make it blatantly clear. Make it so obvious and clear. But if I am to leave, make it even clearer. That one, just make it so clear for me to know whether or not I'm meant to be in this relationship or I need to leave, period. I kid you not. The next day, same thing happens. I'm in the house all day with my child. He comes home. Hey, walks over to his video game room.
She said my child. So I don't know if it's a kid she had prior to being with him or not, but that definitely can impact the storyline or how things transpire. If it's personally not his kid, burden of going out there, you're for one, it's one income already at that. She has a child there, so I don't know, it hasn't really determined whether it was both of their child, but you imagine this, you're working all day, you're busting your ass to come provide, and then at least the anticipation or expectation, I don't know if they communicated that, which is key, is if he's not communicating what he expects out of her and vice versa, then that's where you don't, it's misalignment. So I think definitely that if she's not working, taking care of a kid is hard. I have a son. It's not easy taking care of a kid, especially when you don't have no support system. So for her to be able to, I guess, manage a child and then the household, and then if she has expectations of him contributing, then it sounds like that wasn't communicated until they had that blow up. And that's what it usually results in, is this, you build resentment over time, because instead of you saying how you feel, you just let it spill over, and then it just accumulates, and then it just turns into an explosion when it could have been resolved with simple day-to-day communication. I believe in over communicating than not saying enough.
Shuts the door. Because he had said something the day before about me not cooking, I thought, I'm just gonna make the most extravagant, crazy thing that you've ever thought of. I'm just gonna make something so crazy just for that. So I decided to make turkey burgers. I've never made them before, but I was like,
Oh my God. When, shout out to you. Effort means something, but the way she hyped that up and delivered turkey burgers, I'm done. But I guess this is about the effort. So, and if she's not a cook, I get it. It probably was difficult for her to just jump in the kitchen and chef something up that's extravagant. But I guess it's the thought that counts. But she hyped that up. That was crazy. All that for some turkey burgers.
we ball. Let's just do it. I make these turkey burgers. My daughter goes over to her grandma's house. We try to enjoy a meal together. I bring him his turkey burgers.
She said her daughter. So it's almost, I think it's confirmed that it's not even his kid. So he's taking care of her and her daughter.
And some condiments, and I set everything up. I'm eating my food. He's playing the video game, so he's not even eating. And if you're a lady, you just go over to make sure it's good or whatever. And he still hadn't touched nothing. So I'm sitting there like, dang, I just tried my best. There's not even any type of appreciation, I felt like. So why would I even, why would I cook every day? So finally, he gets off of his game. I already finished.
Why would you cook every day? That is so ridiculous. See the mentality? I don't know. That's like him saying, well, you don't cook every day. Why should I work every day? I'm saying because you decided to be committed in a relationship and you're doing your part as his girlfriend, that you're not working. He's taking care of you and your daughter. And then yet you don't think it's even a consideration for you to cook regardless. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should tolerate disrespect. And I'm not saying he's right by not at least giving her some type of credit for cooking. You gotta give her some type of credit. But I could already tell just based off of what she's saying, they had so much tension and resentment that it probably wasn't even a position for them to have healthy communication.
Eating and everything. I'm sitting there behind him on my phone. He's like, was the mustard good on the sandwich? And I'm like, He's like, okay, pass me the mustard. So I pass him this bottle of mustard, and he opens it and he looks at me and he chuckles. He's like, the mustard's not open. And I'm like, huh? He's like, it's not, it's sealed. And I was like, interesting. He was like, why did you just lie to me about mustard? And I was like, well, if I'm being honest, I just thought you weren't going to eat.
I'm not gonna lie, when I first clicked on it, I thought she was talking about DJ Mustard. But to me, it sounds like the whole story's not coming out. Maybe there's some underlying issues. I can't see him just jumping the gun first time. I don't know. We'll see. Let me see. Let's
The
hear
sandwich.
her out.
So if putting mustard on the sandwich made you eat the sandwich, then that's why I told you that mustard was going to be good on the sandwich. And he just lost it. He was like, if you could lie to me about something so small like that, then what else are you lying about? Valid, fair point. Valid point. In all of this, I'm trying to plead my case. At some point, he literally went silent and walked out the door.
So full circle. So I guess trying to understand this, for me, either the full truth is not coming out or there's already underlying issues with trust, because it seems like it's bigger than the mustard. I think the mustard was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. And that's pretty much what it sounds like, because it could be something petty like that. If you let it accumulate over time And maybe she was just dishonest about a bunch of other things that obviously she's probably not going to share. But that's the only thing I could come up with, because it doesn't make sense. I get you're going through it, and maybe it was poor timing, and that was just like, I guess, something that happened. But typically, either he had trust issues or there was something that she was doing underlying that caused him to be like, all right, that's enough. You've been dishonest long enough. So it could be either or, but without having more context, either from his side or her not really elaborating on the actual status of the relationship prior, it's kind of hard to say.
Didn't say a thing about getting my baby. Didn't say a thing about what we were doing for the rest of the night. Didn't say anything at all, just left. Left me in my apartment. Left me in my apartment alone, but I did not feel alone. In that moment, God showed up and was like, that's your sign. I guarantee I felt so clear as day that him leaving the house in the heat of the moment right there was my sign that this was not, this one ain't gonna be the one. I was just like, oh God, I hear you. And that very next day, I texted my family group chat. I have 3 other siblings, and all 3 of them showed up to my door in less than 10 minutes after I texted them and said, I need to get out. We packed all my stuff up, moved me into my mom's house, and I've been here for the past 2 years now. I just find it so ironic that mustard is what did it, but all it takes is faith of a mustard seed.
Faith of a mustard seed, I guess. So she had to throw that in there for the combo. But basically what I'm hearing, it sounds like 2 people weren't mature enough to be in a healthy relationship and have the proper communication. A lot of she's saying me, my apartment, my child. So I don't know if that's just her way of communicating, or from what I'm understanding, she was unemployed, so I'm not sure how she's paying it. Maybe she had some savings, but ultimately it sounds like immaturity and lack of communication. So if you want to have a successful relationship, the key thing is making sure you're both on the same foundation, and that basically is the type of morals, your beliefs, what you want for the future. And then from there, a lot of people just get in a relationship off of sexual attraction. And sometimes that'll put you in a worse predicament than you were single. So let me know what you think in the comments. Did you think that would be the end result of her breaking up over Mustard? I initially thought it was Mustard, DJ Mustard, the producer. But comment, like, subscribe, turn on post notifications.